The world is distracted. Cameras chase Putin's every move. Trump's outbursts dominate headlines. Europe's endless meetings over Ukraine are broadcast live. But while the West obsesses over itself, something far bigger is unfolding elsewhere. It isn't happening in Brussels. It isn't happening in America. It isn't even happening in Moscow. It is happening in India, because India, once seen as America's perfect partner in Asia, is quietly breaking free. And this break could redraw the entire map of global power. Donald Trump believed he could bully India. He believed tariffs could force compliance. He believed threats could bend Prime Minister Modi. But India is not Europe. India is not a junior partner. India is not for sale. When Trump slapped record-high tariffs on Indian exports, it wasn't just an attack on trade. It was a declaration that America does not see New Delhi as an equal. Decades of diplomatic progress, gone with one reckless decision, and yet, America didn't realize it had just awakened a sleeping giant. For years, America whispered a promise. India will be our counterweight to China. It encouraged Apple to move iPhone factories from China to India. It encouraged Silicon Valley to embrace Indian talent. It encouraged America's strategists to dream of an India-US axis. And for a time, it worked. India welcomed investments. India deepened cooperation. India built bridges. But Trump shattered it all. When he called India's economy dead, he wasn't just insulting statistics. He was insulting 1.4 billion people. The truth? India's economy is anything but dead. In 1991, its GDP was $266 billion. By 2023, it surged to $3.7 trillion, a 13-fold increase in 3 decades. Year after year, India's growth outpaced giants. Even during the pandemic, India bounced back faster than most of the West. Bloomberg calls it the fastest-growing major economy. The IMF calls it the engine of global growth. So when Trump dismissed India, he wasn't speaking facts. He was speaking arrogance. And what triggered the anger? India's decision to keep buying Russian oil. But here's the hypocrisy. The US itself buys Russian uranium. 27% of its enriched uranium came from Russia in 2023, a year after the invasion of Ukraine. Europe, too, still buys Russian gas, some even through India as an intermediary. So why punish New Delhi alone? Why demand sacrifice from others when America refuses it at home? This wasn't strategy, it was hypocrisy disguised as policy. India could have panicked. It could have begged America for mercy. Instead, it pivoted, straight towards Moscow, straight towards Beijing. S. Jaishankar flew to Russia. Wang Yi flew to India after 3 years. Modi announced his first trip to China in 7 years. Border talks reopened. Trade routes revived. Flights restored. For the first time in decades, India and China began serious steps toward normalization. And America realized India has options. What exactly has America risked? Nearly 40% of US generic medicines come from India. Billions of dollars worth of Indian pharmaceuticals keep American hospitals alive. Tech giants like Apple, Google, Microsoft depend on India's engineers. Silicon Valley's most influential leaders, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, Arvind Krishna, Shantanu Narayan, all Indian-born. India was not just America's partner. It was America's foundation. And now that foundation is shaking. Imagine tomorrow. India restricts medicine exports. American drug prices explode. Imagine tomorrow, India keeps its engineers at home. Silicon Valley slows to a crawl. Imagine tomorrow, Apple's Indian factories halt production. The iPhone supply chain collapses. This is not theory. This is the cost of arrogance. For decades, India and China were rivals. Border disputes, standoffs, Galwan Valley clashes. But now something new is happening. 2 new groups are formed, one to finally define the border, another to ensure peace. Pilgrimage routes to Mount Kailash reopen. Trade through Lipulekh, Shipkila, and Nathula starts again. Flights restart after years of suspension. And soon, Modi will shake Xi Jinping's hand. What once seemed impossible is now inevitable. India has lived by one rule, non-alignment. It worked with the US when convenient. It worked with Russia when necessary. It balanced, it endured. But Trump's tariffs changed the equation. The US showed it values dominance, not partnership. And India refuses to be dominated. This isn't weakness. This is independence. Now India looks elsewhere. Russia, its long-term defense partner. China, its biggest trading partner. BRICS, its growing alliance. Together, they represent an alternative to US hegemony. Instead of isolating Russia, Trump bound it closer to India. Instead of containing China, he drove India into Beijing's arms. Instead of securing dominance, he accelerated its decline. This isn't just a miscalculation. This is history in motion. But let's pause and imagine the unthinkable. What if India and China not only talk, but actually get closer? For decades, the Himalayan border was the wound that never healed. Every clash, every skirmish, every standoff, it kept Delhi and Beijing apart. It kept India leaning towards America, if only by default. But now, things are shifting. Flights resuming is not just about tourism, it's about trust. Trade routes reopening is not just about goods, it's about goodwill. And Modi's handshake with Xi, that isn't just a formality, it's a signal to the entire world. If these steps turn into a genuine partnership, then the global chessboard flips overnight. Because think about what happens when two of the world's most populated nations, together over 2.8 billion people, decide to cooperate instead of clash. China brings its manufacturing might. India brings its talent, democracy, and growth. Together, they hold the power to challenge every Western economy. For the US, this is the ultimate nightmare. It once dreamed of India as a bulwark against China, but now it could face India as China's partner. Imagine the consequences. American companies lose their China plus India strategy because if both nations align, there is no plus. There is only Asia. Global supply chains would bend to Delhi and Beijing, not America. The tech future, from AI to semiconductors, could be decided in Bangalore and Shenzhen, not Silicon Valley. And strategically, the US encirclement plan collapses. Its bases around China mean little if India refuses to be part of the ring. Instead of surrounding Beijing, America may find itself surrounded. And what about BRICS? If India and China bury the hatchet, BRICS is no longer a fractured club. It becomes an unstoppable force, a union of resources, manpower, and markets that the West cannot ignore. It's no exaggeration. Such an alliance could mark the true end of Western dominance, not in decades, but in years, because India and China together are not just nations, they are civilizations. Civilizations that have survived every empire, every invasion, every attempt to divide them. And if they rise together, the world will not be the same. India is not just another ally. It is the world's largest democracy. It is the world's fastest growing economy. It is a nuclear power. It is a civilization with more than 5,000 years of memory. And memory matters. India remembers colonialism. India remembers betrayal. India remembers broken promises. And when pushed, India does not crumble. It rises. Today, America plays short-term games, but India plays the long game, a game of centuries, a game of civilizations, a game that looks beyond the headlines of today. India has survived empires. It has survived invasions. It has survived betrayals, and yet it stands taller than ever. So the real question isn't whether the world is changing. It already is. The real question is, when the New World Order is written, will India be just another chapter? Or will it be the author of the book itself?